Indiana Fever are planning to ship Caitlin Clark to the Los Angeles Sparks. I expect UCLA coach Corey Close to be the head coach of the Los Angeles Sparks. Corey Close, after that championship game that she won with the UCLA Bruins, she's been very adamant. She's been very upfront. Yeah, all this transfer portal stuff, I'm not really sure.
Caitlin Clark is the WNBA, not just a player. Indiana may even allow her to walk at this time. This isn't rumors. It's not a popular opinion. This is being said aloud behind closed doors by genuine, connected people. Doors, and the backstory, far more significant than a trade rumor. We're discussing turmoil in the locker room. A moment on the bench that broke the internet. A shocking revelation from an NBA insider. And a private encounter in Los Angeles that was never intended to be made public. This is about who truly controls the biggest star women's team, not about a single player switching teams. Basketball has ever witnessed. What comes next could determine the future of the entire league. If you've never been here before, sign up right now. This channel delves further than the prepared non-answers and the PR's claims. Now let's get started. Just one video. No changes. It told everything with just unprocessed sideline footage. The woman who sold out WNBA arenas, Caitlin Clark. Sitting on that bench was the league's face, even so, too still, jaw tight, eyes fixed front. The silence that shouts louder than any disagreement. Stephanie White, the coach, then approaches. Makes a statement. Directs Raven Johnson to Clark's location. Clark, too, she shakes her head slowly. That's all. That's the entire situation. Don't yell, nothing dramatic, just a shake of the head, perhaps 13 seconds in all. However, those 13 seconds, millions of views. Spreading more quickly than this team has performed on the court during the whole season. Since everyone is watching it. Saw the exact same thing. There's a problem, and not only the typical conflict between competitors, this has a more profound feel. Like a crack that cannot be fixed with a post-game handshake. Coach White told the reporters that the Fever moved quickly on damage control. There's nothing to see. When Clark took the microphone, he said, there are two contenders who want to win. Tidy. Be calm. Practice. Here's the issue with damage control in the age of social media, though, when your denial starts to wane. You are already 3 stories behind the internet. No one was inquiring as to whether they were still fighting. The true question had changed. What is the true depth of this tension, and has the entire Indiana Fever organization already been affected? Almost immediately, the "nothing to see here" narrative began to fall apart, and the fracture originated within. One of the roster's most unvarnished voices, Sophie Cunningham, joined a podcast. Said something informally. The majority of people should not have scrolled past this.
Steph and Cece are two very competitive people who just want to win, and sometimes you bump heads, but it was all out of like good intent of wanting the same thing. And like at the end of the day, like we were not playing good. I'm not condoning her actions. Like I think there's room to grow in how you respond to things, but she would say the same thing, and her and Steph are fine. And, that's like their relationship. And, later that night or the next morning, they hugged it out and they talked about it. Like when you are in high competitive situations, pretty much 4 days out of the week, like stuff is going to happen. But like I said, our stuff is just under a microscope, and everything you do, everything you say is going to be a highlight reel for somebody. And I think media loves to create division where there's...
Following consecutive defeats, a lengthy meeting took place. She personally attested to it. She described it as a conflict between two competitive individuals. A celebrity and a coach who share a desire to succeed. There was an embrace, she claimed. Everything is okay, she said. The problem is that it's not very good. Fine isn't we're locked in, fine is barely managing. The locker room is united. Although she never said that, she never claimed that the partnership was strong. There's room to expand, she remarked. Things are being examined closely, she said. Indeed, it's possible that the media is exaggerating it. Perhaps not all disagreements are a crisis. She did, however, confirm the friction. She nevertheless attested to the meeting's occurrence. Thus, when the official narrative states, everything is okay, but there are lengthy discussions, misunderstandings, and diplomatic words in the real story. That gap there, the truth is that is
nothing new. But I just think everyone expects us to like leave off of where we were last year. And yes, we have like some of the same players as last year, but we also have so many new players that are playing huge minutes for us. And I think it just takes a second to, get rhythm and chemistry and trust each other. Like, I think this is very normal team things, but we have to do it sooner than later. Like it's everyone's a little frustrated with how we're playing because we all know we're better than it. But I think sometimes you need this type of stuff in order to get to the root of the problem of whatnot.
After 2 defeats, successful teams don't convene emergency meetings. Teams who are unified don't have to declare. They have come together. The relationship needed to be defended at that point. Then everything changed. June 3. Do not forget that date. Basketball Twitter stopped after Michael Thompson made a post. It's not a burner account, not some guy on a podcast trying to get influence. Thompson, Michael, Lakers radio voice, the father of Klay Thompson. A man who has been credible for decades and has nothing to gain by lying. He stated it clearly. A trustworthy source informed him of the. Caitlin Clark is no longer desired by the Indiana Fever. He even named the Los Angeles Sparks as the team that should go get her. Then, an hour later, he doubled down and posted once more. His reputation and name are at stake. In real time, in public, the response came right away. Everywhere, because this is what people comprehend. This isn't what Michael Thompson does for interaction. He's not using drama to establish his brand. His career is steady. Profound roots in Los Angeles basketball, and there's no necessity to invent something like this. If it proved to be nothing, he is followed by that shame. He was aware of that. He posted anyway. So why would a man choose to take that chance? Is it all just a rumor?
That means so much to me. Michael Thompson comes out and says, I'm hearing from a reliable source, the Fever don't want Caitlin no more. Sparks, go get her now. And unless he comes out and says he's trolling, I'm taking this as face value. I'm taking this as serious. I'm not taking this as clickbait at all. I do believe he has reliable sources. I do believe he has sources within the WNBA. I do believe he has sources within the Los Angeles Sparks. And I do believe it's been floated by him the same way that things have been floated by Dan Dockage. I believe it's been floated by Michael Thompson.
Everything is altered by credibility. When a man with genuine connections like Michael Thompson talks, the sports world doesn't scroll past actual history and real skin in the game. Stops. It pays attention. Begins posing queries. Back channels allowed the Indiana Fever to spread. Claimed that the trade rhetoric was all noise. Claimed that Clark was untouchable. However, their denial was purposefully ambiguous and well-crafted, and the league office stated unequivocally, nothing. That quiet, the story was fed rather than killed. Subsequently, the narrative shifted from drama to strategy. Los Angeles, May 13. Sparks vs Fever. Caitlin Clark had a different approach to the game. It was observed by reporters. She weighed less. Ates. Grinning in a way that had been rare throughout the season, she went out and scored 24 points. It was one of her best performances in weeks, with 9 assists. 87-78 was the Fever's victory. However, the box score wasn't really intriguing. Portion, according to a number of unapproved sources, on that journey to Los Angeles. Clark spoke in private with people associated with the Sparks organization, not an official gathering. Not a sit-down approved by the league, just a casual, calm conversation, the type that occurs when a participant begins to imagine what life may be like elsewhere, whether consciously or unconsciously. Just that particular touch would have kept. For a week, the internet was busy. Then, however, Michael Thompson posted from Los Angeles. Suddenly, the pieces didn't simply take seats next to one another, they began to fit together. Clark's best friend, Kate Martin, her former teammate from Iowa, had recently joined the Sparks. Cameron Brink is a talented center with versatility who was already on the roster and has the ability to protect the rim and extend the floor. The elements of comfort, the faces were familiar. They were no longer in Indiana. Southern California was where they were. Strategy or coincidence, there is disagreement in the basketball community. However, it is also unable to stop discussing it. This is the discussion that the mainstream media will not explicitly have. However, everyone in the sport is well aware of this. There is a market issue facing the WNBA. Indianapolis is a true sports city. The Fever has a sizable fan base. This season's crowds have been unprecedented, largely due to Clark's presence. That is undeniable. However, Indianapolis is not Los Angeles. In a league that is working hard to expand its television transactions, its global audience, and its cultural impact, there is a genuine structural conflict in having your most marketable player in a mid-sized market in the Midwest. It's merely a geography meeting, not a slight against Indiana. In terms of economics, Los Angeles is unique. It is the second largest metropolis in the world. The world's capital of entertainment, a place where athletes become institutions rather than merely celebrities. They develop into something greater than the actual sport. In particular, the Sparks simply transformed into an entirely different team. The Los Angeles Lakers ownership group, which also has financial ties to the Dodgers, has connections to the Sparks via the larger Los Angeles sports scene. This refers to the Crypto.com arena, Dodgers money, that is. This implies that the WNBA may be in line with one of the world's most potent sports infrastructure networks. When a team places Caitlin Clark in that setting, they are creating a global media network rather than a basketball squad. Adam Silver, a property commissioner, has been one of the most vocal advocates for improved WNBA player pay and league expansion. Kathy Engelbert, the WNBA commissioner, has been unrelentingly combative. Regarding new deals, new markets, and new visibility, nothing needs to be forced by any of them, and neither must Plan A. Backdoor agreement or violate a single regulation. They just have to allow the circumstances to exist, let the financial seriousness of the most marketable player is drawn to the largest platform available. This is how leagues have always operated. Manner, all you need is momentum. A mandate is not necessary. Now turn off the cacophony and take a look at Indiana's season. In fact, this year, the Fever came with high expectations. Returning gamers and newcomers. The basis of what appeared to be a serious competitor, but consecutive defeats evolved into an urgent team meeting that went viral. Conflict between a franchise player and a head coach was confirmed during a sideline moment. The front office was completely unprepared for the chain reaction of trade rumors that resulted in a credibility issue that Clark resolved. She spoke about developing chemistry, trust, and taking the time to get to know everyone. Inside the structure, aware of their greater potential. It was mature and measured. Additionally, you may. Because the subtext was clearly visible, it might be read in two different ways. They're not entertaining there. Ceiling, the environment is not what it needs to be. Additionally, for a player who came to our league with a strong cultural background, playing underneath your ceiling in an unstable atmosphere is not something women's basketball has ever seen before. The front office of the Fever publicly maintains that everything is something you silently absorb forever. Publicly maintains that Clark is unavailable and that the sounds is merely noise. However, in professional athletics, teams who are required to publicly maintain that everything is alright are rarely the ones where, in reality, everything is. Let's be clear about what we do know. There hasn't been a formal trade offer created. No agreement has been reached. Multiple sources have not confirmed the existence of a verified beat reporter that Clark is being intensively shopped. However, this is what has transpired. A man who is truly credible and